Hey, what's going on everyone? This is JoeYoursTruly, back with another video, and as you can kind of see from the video itself already, this is kind of not the normal gameplay video that you guys come to expect from JoeYoursTruly. This is kind of like a more serious kind of topic, just kind of like some important updates I gotta let you guys know on, kind of explain why I haven't been posting lately and what's going to happen going forward, as well as some other important conversations that I kind of want to be honest with you guys, get off my chest, because it's been kind of like bothering me for a while, and this is like something that I haven't like really done on the spur of the moment. This is kind of like a video that I thought about making for almost about a month now. That's just a way for me to make sure that when I'm making this video, this wasn't like I wasn't acting on my emotions right. I'm kind of like, I actually fact check myself. I kind of give it some more serious thought, and this is how I generally feel, because like the last thing I want to do is post like a misleading video or get into like a kind of topic where I'm just going in too emotional and not like too logical, if that makes sense. But to kind of explain like why am I doing this outside, well, first of all, if you guys don't follow me on my Twitter, I've been trying to post more pictures of me being in Alaska, doing some cool stuff, because as much as I'm very far away from my family down in Florida, there's some really kind of cool stuff here in Alaska, and I try to share it with you guys more on Twitter, and I'm trying to like do it here on YouTube, or at least for this video, because as you guys kind of see right here, it is a very beautiful day outside here in Alaska. This is something that you only see about 10% of the time if you're actually being here, especially like once we get closer to winter. Things get like very rainy, very cold a lot, and I saw this opportunity to like just go outside, touch some grass, record a video while we're at it, because I don't know when the next time the outside is going to be really nice and beautiful like this. And I do apologize if my voice sounds a bit rough. I was just recovering from a sickness I had, because on Sunday I did a very long hike, about like a 9-mile hike to Lake Sally is what it is. Kind of like going through like the mountains and going up some beautiful scenery. I posted some really cool pictures on Twitter, but that was like 9 miles plus like 3,000 feet climb elevation plus minus 2,000 calories like burn. So I kind of got sick because it was a really intense hike, and it just started pouring on us halfway through. Even though the weather app didn't say it was going to rain at all that day, we kind of got debated a little bit by the weather app. So I think I just got a little bit cold from the fatigue and being out in the cold weather for like an extended period of time. And another reason why I took a little bit to make this video is because I ordered something off Amazon. Like I was getting one of those like fuzzy mics, because I actually was taking this like video kind of seriously. I want to kind of give a little bit better audio, like my voice output to you guys than using my camera. But I mean, I ordered on Amazon like a month ago and hasn't arrived yet, and there's no definite day when it's gonna arrive. So I mean, it's one of those moments of can't have around here in Alaska, because we're so isolated from all the other like states that it just, even Amazon struggles to get the stuff out here. And by the way, I self-censor myself right there, because I actually have a lot of young kids that actually watch my videos. That was actually kind of a cool thing that I kind of learned from making videos on YouTube. Is like I have a lot of like you guys come in my comments or DM me that you love my videos, because it's a free kind of video that you can watch with your kids, because I don't like say anything really inappropriate or curse words and all of that. And that's actually another fun thing too, is I actually play some games just the other day with one of my viewers who reached out to me saying that like his kid was having like a harder time, and he thought it'd be really cool if he can play with like me because he watched my videos. And I was like, heck yeah, let's do it. It's kind of unfortunate because I was trying to use Discord, but they were on consoles. But it's like, okay, we can use in-game voice chat, and it wasn't even working. I don't know why. It was working a couple of times here and there, but the whole like voice like in-game was just very inconsistent. So I never really have like a proper conversation with the younger kid who was playing with us. But Okay, I'm getting a little bit sidetracked. Apologies for that. I want to like kind of ease you guys into this video and kind of go on some random side tangents before I jump into this. So apologies if I'm kind of been rambling for like the last 5 minutes. But in short, I've kind of been talking about this for a while. But essentially, I am going to be going to a military school, to pursue further education, training, and the career I want to pursue in the Coast Guard. So that means I have to travel from here, Alaska, to the school in North Carolina. So like at first it sounds kind of cool because, oh wait, I can go to the mainland, I have more easier access to Wi-Fi and all that stuff. But this is a military school we're talking about. Military Wi-Fi barracks is kind of like non-existent. It's kind of a meme. And not only that, I heard this Wi-Fi network that's available to barrack residents has some restrictions that makes it really hard to play online games. So just couple that and with the fact that the Wi-Fi is like extremely slow there, that I'm gonna have to take a step away from making new YouTube content for the next like 4 months, because I'm going to be doing my training through like the holidays, go back to school, finish that, then go on vacation a little bit, go see family. Then I'll probably be back here in Alaska around February or March. I don't know when. Well, it depends on how long the training takes, because it can always change, and of course how long I want to use my time off to spend time with family before I come back here during the cold winter months here in Alaska. So that's like the biggest thing. I do want to apologize that I haven't been really uploading videos lately. Part of that is because I've been prepping myself to go to A school and get all my arrangements sorted out and enjoy my time here, because like for example, today's like a perfect day to go outside, go hiking. I'm still like recovering from that Sunday hike I went, so I just did like a light jog instead around this little peninsula. Got some vitamin D, got that grass touch. So now I'm just going ahead and making a video for you guys, because I just like I said, I really want to like have a more kind of serious discussion video, but also want to like change up the scenery a little bit, show you guys a little bit of some of the coolest stuff here in Alaska. But that's it for like kind of like my schedule when it comes to like videos and when you guys can expect some new ones. The next kind of part I want to talk about is kind of like my general thoughts on the game, which if you guys have not like saw my video a while ago, I made a video talking about, I think it was captured something like, I'm concerned about the future of Predecessor. Like it was like a video I made a while back talking about some of the concerns I have with the game. And these are not concerns that I only had. These are like a kind of concerns that a lot of like community members have, people that have been sticking around with the game since early access had. And I decided I was going to be the one that will be speaking on behalf of all of the voices of concerns. And a lot of the stuff that still concerns me to this day is actually still echoed from that last video, but even more. It's like, for example, like one of the big things I talked about in that video I made was I was concerned about how the game was turning more into a hero brawler gameplay instead of like a mobile action gameplay. Like that was around the time where there was a huge discussion going on, and lately in the last few patches, the gameplay has been getting faster and faster and faster. Like we had the recall timers that got shortened, but then reverted because a lot of people hated that. We have like the new ceiling buffs and like the shaper buffs that was really cool at first, but it actually turned out to push this more like faster gameplay, like roaming rather than like actually farming, doing some of the mobile strategy. So very like AWAMing kind of stuff. So like somehow the gameplay of like Fear of Predecessor just got faster and less of a MOBA, more of a hero brawler, which like I know there's like, you know, like there are a genre, right, that it can work for. Like look at like Overwatch, Marvel Rivals, who is like that fast-paced hero brawler with some mobile elements. But I mean, Predecessor has always been like, or at least for me, Predecessor or Paragon, like the OG Paragon, has always been like emphasis on actual MOBA elements. And just to see that slowly strip away more and more over time is just very disheartening to see, because a lot of the really like committed community members that followed the Paragon project since way back like 2016, for example. Like we played the game for like the mobile elements, not for the faster paced action gameplay we see today. But that's like a random kind of thing that I remember from that other video. There were some other topics I touched in that video where it was like I was talking about how, like, for example, like there was a really inconsistency in like what the developers and administrators trying to do with the game. Like, for example, in that video, I was talking about how there's like an inconsistent of them saying that they want to push the game to be like a very friendly, welcoming community, but then they remove stuff like good job because they say it's too toxic, but then they have like voice chat implemented, and that allows people to be even more toxic, and it seems like there's like very little to no moderation to that, right? And that was actually one thing that's been like really annoying me lately, was there's been like clear-cut cases of people like going in voice chat, telling other people to off themselves repeatedly or call them slurs. And sorry, there's a plane in the background, but just saying really offensive, very aggressive, very violent things, but no action just being taken against them whatsoever. And this is like coming from like the content creator Discord, where we will report these players, we have the video clips, but it just seems like nothing's just being done about it. So I can't even imagine what it's like when a normal player do the due diligence, report the player in game, and then just nothing comes out of it. They don't know if that person's banned. They may even see that person like the next week, and it's just like, what the heck? This person literally try to like incite violence, telling me to off myself, and they're still playing the game even though I reported it through like all the channel means. It's really like disheartening to see, because I always think that like within like the predecessor like community especially, like, of course, we're on a MOBA game or MOBA, right? I don't know what you call Predator, so it's kind of like a mixed bag of a lot of things, which is not good. But at the end of the day, like, there are going to be always the bad actors, the toxic people. But what's important is to have the tools, have a system set up where action is taken consistently and regularly against like the biggest offenders. And after over a year of this game being in full release, I do quotation air marks right there, because this game does not feel like a full release, and I'll kind of talk more about that in a little bit. But for a game that's been out for over a year, there's a very huge lack of moderation tools, actions, a system in place that can actually catch these people in the act of doing this really horrible, saying this horrible stuff, typing horrible stuff in chats. Because again, talking about what I was going earlier, like a lot of people that watch my videos are actually younger kids, because the people that used to play Paragon, they grew up, they got married, they have kids, their kids also play Predecessor, and these kids playing your game is having to deal with all these people telling them they'll go off themselves, telling them they'll this slur, that slur, and the kid go crying to their mom and dad, like, this person say something like, that's just such a bad that's just so, I don't know what to say, that is just horrible. And the fact that people have been reporting all these instances, like especially within the content creator guild, and it's just like a very lack of like follow-up, like even when people are really pushing for it, it's just so disheartening. Like, that's something that's been really something's been really upsetting me lately. And that's like one thing I definitely want to like make sure I get out of the way, because more than anything, like, this game is not perfect, it has a lot of room to improve, but I feel like one thing that I think is incredibly important at the end of the day is fostering a safe environment, because we're on play video games at the end of the day, and if you're like letting all these people say all this violent, hateful stuff towards each other, and you're just doing very little to actually like moderate them, then I think you're just fostering like a really toxic, really like unsafe environment for your game. I think that's like a big no that should just never be allowed, and it should be treated with even more care, way more care than it is right now. But sorry, I'm kind of going on a little bit like rants here and there. I'm kind of coming this with like without a script, which is pretty obvious if it's not already to you guys. And to be fair, most of my videos, when I do this kind of like sit down discussion, I don't really have a script, Although sometimes I would like think about what I want to say before I make the video, just so I have a more cohesion line of thoughts. And so I do apologize if some of the conversations or stuff goes off the rails or off tangent. But I'm just trying to be honest, trying to speak from the heart rather than trying to read off a script that sounds not as sincere, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think just trying to take a step back, because I kind of went really specific on that whole like moderation thing. But I think the biggest issue that I have with Preds is when I step back and I look at this game from during its early access years to the full release it is right now. When I look at all that in the big scope, I'm just disappointment is one way to say it, but I think it's also I'm just very concerned still about the future of Predecessor, because it's more like, because I guess for the best way to explain it is, if you're someone like, for example, that went into this game and only started playing like 6 months ago, right? Your perspective on the game is only within that 6 month time span. But for someone like me and for a lot of like dedicated like community members that have been with this game before even released in early access, we have a huge wide range of our perspective on the game. We saw all the ebbs and flows of this game from beginning to end. I was there, for example, where they released like the battle pass for the first time, and then the affinity skin, like the mastery skin, was locked behind the pay track, and there was a huge uproar from the community. Like, so many people were extremely pissed, and it's only because the community band together in that moment that Mysteries actually changed the affinity skin to be on the free track. Right there, it's like that one happened like so long ago. But my whole point is I know this whole like development cycle of Predecessor, and for a good chunk of it, I was QA for Meta Studios, so I have a huge broad perspective, maybe a little bit unique because of that my work experience for Meta and as a content creator. But just kind of like looking at the whole like history of Pred, when I look at the whole history of Pred, it just makes me really uncertain about the future of Predecessor, and more of it like, I don't know if this game is gonna last a long term. Because, for example, hero balancing, like the balance updates for the longest time, like throughout early access, through open beta, and now like the full and a little bit full release, the hero balancing has been like S tier, really solid, really good. Of course, we have some really cringe metas. Like, I remember there was a meta where range offlaners was being played constantly. The brain terminus first, because lifesteal on carries was so strong and they can cheat that offlane. There have been really iffy moments in like the Predecessor meta, but outside of those like rare like instances, overall, like the hero balance has been really solid. But now lately, it's been like very crunchable at best, where they're like buff random characters for like no reason. Like, they're always strong, but then they buff them because like, why not? Or the fact that some of the new hero like designs, like Reina or Yuri, has been like very problematic because they're just very overbloated kits. And I know people were saying that, they feel really strong because the older heroes just have old kits and we just need to update them. But then I'm like, bro, we literally just did a huge hero rework for every hero already. The problem is not the old heroes having old kits, it's the new heroes are having way overbloated kits for the sake of having a fun hero to play, but it's also very easy to play against. Act 1 was a little bit different because I kind of felt like he's like definitely top tier, but he feels more like easier to counter. Although I think he's still like a little bit oversaturated a little bit, but it's not nearly as bad as like the Yuri and Reina. Like, I feel like, but going back to my point, I feel like with the hero balancing being very crunchable and then the new hero kits like being very overbloated, it makes me very like concerned about like the gameplay cycle of this game, where it seems like going in a direction that is just very concerning for a lot of players, where they want to go in, they want to like enjoy the game, but then they have some really weird like bouncing moments, like heroes getting buffed for no reason or having these really overbloated kits. It's just really unfun and makes it for like very unstable metas. Like I noticed like some of these metas lately has been like really frustrating, probably due to the fact that there's some really big outliers that they're just not like nerfing, or they're not doing a good job of like making the kit right from the get-go. But another thing is also like the bugs. Oh my god, there are like so many bugs right now in Fred. It's crazy, because I guess the sad thing is it kind of seems like it's becoming more accepted that this game just gonna have game-breaking bugs every patch. As much as people like say it's really bad, like the ceiling buff is like disappearing randomly, or the fact that you have heroes falling under the map still, or you now have Morn, like you play Morn and now he's having random voice lines from an unreleased hero. Like the bugs and stability of this game is like crazy low. And again, like looking back on my perspective a little bit, like the bugs and has been kind of like weighing in pretty strongly throughout the early access and open beta, where there were rarely game breaking bugs back then, but now it seems like it's a everyday occurrence. And I made a tweet about it, where I was talking about how essentially like kind of like a common sentiment that some people would say is that like, but yeah, bugs suck, but every game has them. Is it such a bad take when you consider the context that when you look at other games like Minecraft or League of Legends or Overwatch, the bugs you usually find in those games are like very minor, or if there is a game-breaking bug in those kind of games, usually to make those game-breaking bugs happen, you have to go through some really like niche scenarios. You really have to go out of your way to break the game, like trying to go off the map with a certain hero, doing certain hero combos to do it. Like no one's gonna like run into those game-breaking bugs in those games, but someone that picks up and play Pred will run into like the ceiling bug just disappearing on and off, which I know they fixed it, but it took them like so long to fix was a game-breaking bug that happened during the PCC like tournament. That was a big no-no right there. Having an esports tournament and you have a game-breaking bug where you can't even do the objective because it existed. But it was also really sad was like we recently like Predecessor released servers in like Japan, and it seems like it didn't really went that well. Like it could have been a huge opportunity for Predecessor to gain like a larger audience from the JP side. But it seems like they failed to like recruit like content creators to like advertise the game, from my understanding and talking to their people. But also like the people that do from JP that actually check out the game, like I'll talk to other content creators and say like, yeah, I have people from like Japan that will come in my chat and be like, yeah, like this game seems pretty cool, but I get instantly turned off when my hero just suddenly just like disappear under the map, or when I was trying to attack the ceiling buff, it was going facing in and out. Like these bugs are just very worrying, and I don't know if I want to play this game long term. And that's exactly like one of the biggest issues going on with play right now is not retaining new players whatsoever. I think it's safe to say that for the longest time, and even to this day, the vast majority of people that still play this game are the very hardcore, dedicated fans of the original Paragon project that has been playing Predecessor. Because if you think about it, like if you play through like the tutorial, like if you go into this game today as a new player, there was so many stuff that is almost like a red flag. Like first off, you go in the game and you have the tutorial, but it's very short. They're explaining like 9% of the other stuff in the game, and then you just throw into random queue, or rather you're throwing into Nitro. I think it is. You're forced to play only Nitro, and the game is not clear why you can't play other game modes. And so like for the new player experience, like there's just a very huge lack of onboarding experience with like trying to learn to play the game. And then they're just throwing into like random matchmaking that they have no control over, and have to like suffer through playing these games before they can actually go play normal like gameplay or play whatever game mode they want. On top of all the bugs that can just run across their way, and on top of the like really like lack of polish on the UI. Oh my god, the UI. If you guys have been following me for a while, I've been kind of hating on the UI, and it's for good reasons because I play a lot of other games, and it's always really cool to see. I think UI is one of the stuff that's really unappreciated in games until you play a game that has bad UI, which is Pred, which I'm trying not to be harsh, but the UI in Pred could be so much better. Because like, for example, like the battle pass like UI, it's like very bare bones. You have some random art background, and it's all just blurry, and stuff is not very shiny, not very popping, eye-catching, right? And then not only that, the store is still like a mess. Like it's the storage could be way better like laid out. The only UI part, honestly, that looks good in this game is like the loot cores, and it's kind of funny that like the one screen that actually shows all the paid stuff is the only screen that actually looks really good, because every other UI element in Pred is just so rough on the edges, and there's just so many UI bugs that just happen randomly from time to time. But yeah, so there's all that, and just some other thing I just want to throw in before I forget is, like, there was a recent like financial like statement report posted like publicly on like the subreddit, which I do look in a lot because I know a lot of people kind of meme on the subreddit predecessor being like fulfilled with like a bunch of toxic people. But if I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't always like that. I would say throughout like early access open beta, the predecessor subreddit has been like very chill and kind of like a kind of chill community for the most part. It's only been kind of getting like quote unquote toxic lately, only because, like I said, there's a lot of problems that's been causing more and more, and the whole subreddit of Predator is just a reflection of that, where people will talk about like, oh, what, like show a clip of them like falling on the map or taking a blast cone and they just get warped across like more than half the map. So yeah, like I said, I think people meme a lot on the subreddit predecessor, but I do want to say that I think the subreddit is kind of a decent reflection of like the community sentiment about the game, because again, just from my past experience, the subreddit's been kind of chill in the past, where the game was doing much better than it is today, and now the game is like doing much rougher. Now you have the community showing that dissatisfaction more on that subreddit, but shoot, I kind of lost my train of thought right there, but no, so I guess the one other thing that I was trying to like say was, yeah, so the financial statement, I guess it's a thing in the UK where like companies have to publicly publish like some of the like stuff online, including like that financial earnings for that year, and it's still up there on the subway, so you can kind of search that up pretty easily if you want. But essentially it shows like the whole financial situation of many students has been like growing worse this year. Well, I think overall it showed that while the revenue was higher, I think it was, the cost of production is like skyrocketed really hard, because like compared to back then, right, we're making way more skins. Meta Studios making more original heroes from the ground up. They're doing more like map changes, right? They're doing more adventure stuff, and that of course comes with more development costs. So they're having higher development costs, and they're not even close with the increased revenue they have been seeing this year. And I know I see some comments there, and some people were saying it's not necessarily a bad thing, because what matters is kind of like the long-term like growth, right? So like the game can like earn more money, etc. But the reason why I'm like really concerned when I saw that too was because you saw how aggressive the monetization of the game's been getting on lately, and they've been kind of, I won't say subtle, but they've been kind of throwing it in on these new updates when people not expect it. Like for example, whenever you like open up a core now in this game, now you're greeted with the option to buy more stuff immediately. Like, oh, you got this cool stuff, now buy 5 more so you can get a high chance to get more of this stuff. So there's that, and then there's also the fact that now there's a notification on the store that will never go away, because it's showing you that the skin discounted for the day, exclusive just for you. And that notification icon will not go away unless you buy that skin. It's not enough to like click the skin and say that, oh, I look at this but I don't want it. No, that icon will not go away unless you buy that skin. So it's stuff like that. Well, it's getting like really kind of sketchy with like how aggressive they're trying to push like the monetization of this game. Was like, okay, like we're having notifications throwing at you that you can't get rid of unless you actually buy that item with real money, or hey, like you got some cool stuff, or you got unlucky, well, here just click this button to buy more stuff. You know the kind of stuff that like the kind of games that will push that kind of monetization right in your face. Mobile cash grab games, and that does sound harsh, but it is just reality. Like that kind of stuff is just like very disgusting to kind of throw at consumers. And I mean, like, not reading out that financial statement from ministers, it is pretty evident why they've been trying to be more aggressive with the monetization, because they're desperate to make more money to like police the investors and try and break even, because at the rate they're going, they're not going to be able to make that money back. The investors put in like millions of dollars. They cannot make that back at all for a while. And that kind of like, so when you combine that with the whole like the game policy here balancing getting really rough, getting worse and worse by the day, and some other stuff that I kind of know internally because I have some connections with some people in Mint Studios, and I'm not going to say it because I'm pretty sure I'll get in trouble if I mention some of the stuff, but knowing some of the inside information along with those two is why I've been like very concerned about the future of the game lately, even more so when I made that video about 2 or 3 months ago, first talking about this topic. And I won't lie, it's been kind of weighing down on me a lot. It's been getting me in low spirits here and there, because if it wasn't obvious, I care a lot about this game. Like, Paragon was a game that I grew up with throughout high school. It's a game that got me into MOBAs in the first place. It's also the only reason why I have a YouTube channel that has grown to like 15K plus subscribers, tons of viewers, that a community that I have built with you guys that will not happen in the first place without predecessor like coming back from the ashes of Paragon. And all like the other community members, like other content creators. I was really sad when I couldn't make it to the LAN event, because that would have been such an amazing opportunity to meet a bunch of people I've been talking to a lot in person, hang out with them, do some really cool stuff. But when that LAN event happened, I was doing my move here to Alaska, so I virtually could not make it. But as much as I've been critical of this game lately, I still love it so much. I want nothing more to succeed at the end of the day, but I feel like the only way the game can succeed going forward, and like one of the parts of it, is if you have people that are trying to be honest about the state of the game. Because I think that right now, like outside of like some like the threads and Reddit and some comments content creators will make during their live streams, this whole like some of this like conversation hasn't been happening at all about like concerns about the game, and it's kind of partly my fault because like I noticed lately that a lot of people come to me to be like the voice, to be speaking on behalf. Not trying to put myself up, but the reason why content creators are like such huge influencers nowadays is because they're very often the voice of the community. They're very much like the people that connect the community, like sentiments and opinions and feedback to the devs. Because without like the content creators making these videos, being outspoken and talking with these devs, this whole feedback like conversation between the community and devs just will not happen, period. And you can say that ministers will be like, oh, they're very community driven and they'll talk to the community a lot, but they have done a lot of stuff where community would say X, but then administrators would do Y. Like, for example, like a lot of people hated how Good Job was removed from the game because administrators say it was being too toxic. But then they have voice chat in the game that has made games like even more toxic, more than ever before. And people use our mana to say good job anyway. So that whole thing just doesn't make sense. But my whole point is like, there's not as every clear-cut communication between the community as devs, as the devs will say to will go and say, like, very often the community, like, from all these games and that I watch and all these other content creators, like, it's very much the case that content creators are very often the voice of the community, and it's the reason why it's very normal for them to get sponsored a lot. Not these random news outlets that's like dying off lately. It's the content creators. It's the meta when it comes to spreading advertising of your game, but also giving like direct feedback to devs. And so, like, part of the reason I kind of feel like it's my fault that some of these conversations were just not happening as much, because I'm one of the few bigger content creators of the game, and I have tried. Sorry, there's an airplane above me, but I have tried again with that one video 3 months ago talking about some of the issues with the game, but what kind of stopped me from making more videos like that was due to the cold response I got from the devs. Well, I kind of felt like for 2 years I built a relationship with some of these devs, and for it to see it just go away almost instantly when I come to them directly about my concerns and they kind of brush me off, it made me really upset. And that was the time frame where I got really toxic, because I was just really upset with the whole situation. But since then I kind of moved past on for it. But it was like that. Well, I realized that my feedback video was not taken seriously. They kind of brushed it off. They weren't just being genuine with me when I was having that conversation with them. So it just kind of killed my motivation to make those kind of videos. But I kind of figure, since the game is still going more downhill than before, with that last video, I kind of want to like touch bases again and be honest with you guys about where things are at. But again, sorry, I kind of losing my train of thought again. I don't have like a script. We've been going on for almost 40 minutes, so shout out to all you guys who are watching my videos this whole video right here. I didn't want to like make this like huge long rant, but as it's very obvious, I have a lot to speak from the heart to you guys. But yeah, no, it's so where I was trying to go with that is what I feel like where Pred can seriously improve going forward is, one, I feel like content creators need to be more outspoken with these issues. I know some content creators will like talk about a lot on stream, but like streams are streams. If you're not there to see that moment. That's why like YouTube videos is like very like good for like this kind of feedback, because it's out there, it's easily accessible. If you want to like get some serious feedback to devs, you have to make dedicated videos about it. And so all these content creators that like myself and some other streamers that have all these issues with the game, we need to make more videos to actually put it more out there, to make it more clear that it's not just like the random Joe online on Reddit or Discord saying that this is some issues or conflicts I have with the game. No, it's also content creators speaking on behalf of all of them. Another thing is, I'm going to circle back a little bit. I feel like this game also really needs to go through a time frame of them just polishing bugs, because like it's very clear now that the output of the new heroes and new features cannot be kept up with the polish of the game. Well, like it just feels like the longer this goes, the more game-breaking bugs going to happen, and the more of these bugs that have been around for years are just not going to be resolved. And so I feel like the game really needs to have like a very Operation Health moment. And if you guys don't know that reference, Rainbow Six Siege was a game that also went through a really rough patch where they had so many bugs. It was killing enjoyment in the game. So the developers of that game was like, okay, we're going to pause all new gameplay features. I'm going to spend these next few months just polishing the game and fixing all the core issues, which was kind of risky to do at first because you're not putting any new gameplay stuff in the game, but ended up working in the long term. They paused the game, and now it's better for the game long term. And I feel like where the game is at right now for Predecessor, we really need the devs to stop cooking a little bit and start cooking up some polish for the game. Because again, like the whole flop with like for Japan happened because there was a lack of content creators able to recruit for that, and also like the lack of polish scare away a lot of people. And I feel like this game cannot grow with new players if you have a lack of polish, a lack of a clear tutorial, and a very ugly, messy UI. Like, you need to go back and fix all this stuff, because first impressions is everything. People nowadays, generation, don't have a long attention span. If they see something they don't like about the game, they just drop the game immediately. You need to make a good first impression, because that's the only one once you make a bad impression, the higher likelihood that person coming back to the game, even though it's doing some really cool stuff, is very low. So they definitely need to polish off the game. And lastly, there was one last reason I want to talk about, that I am totally spacing it out really long. Again, sorry, I don't have a script for this. I'm kind of very going this on the fly. Oh, this is something that's a little bit more unrealistic, but it is kind of true. This game needs some serious competition. And what I mean by that is I kind of feel like the game was at its best when the devs feel like they were competing directly with Fault, with Overprime, with Smite 1/2. But ever since that Fault died, Overprime died, and now Smite 2, its first initial launch was really rough. I kind of feel like Mercenaries kind of look at all that and okay, we're the only ones left. We have our own niche. No one's really competing against us. We can do whatever we want. And I know people compare this to League of Legends, for example, but Predators and League of Legends are two separate hemispheres. They're kind of MOBAs, but they have two totally different audiences. I always felt the longest time Predator has been competing with game style more similar to them, Overprime and Smite 2. But ever since Overprime died and Smite 2 didn't become as big of a competition, I kind of felt like there was a lack of competition to drive devs' motivation to really go above and beyond on their game, because I kind of feel like ever since then, things are kind of just held to just the minimum standard. And that's not the 100% best way to say it, but what I'm trying to say is I kind of feel like now there's just no clear competition within this genre that Predator has caved in for itself. It kind of felt like they don't need to be worried about if this feature or that feature is not held up to a high polished S2 kind of standard, because there's no other game competing with them. We just need to make sure it's done. Right? Kind of make sure Battle Pass could look way better, but hey, the job is done. Or hey, there are bugs in the game, but hey, the game is still working. Right? I kind of feel like what Prey really needs, more than anything, is new competition, new young blood, so to speak. Because competition is always a win-win for consumers. When the company has a monopoly on something, they can do whatever they want, and consumers are just there to suffer because, well, the company is the only one doing that. You either get it or you don't, right? But now it's but when you have competition, it's hey, I don't like what this company is doing with this. I'll just go to their company. And as soon as you have that relationship going on, that's when the company will take things more seriously or try to do more stuff. Be hey, this game doing this, but we're doing this better. I feel like that is exactly what Predator is missing. Well, I feel like the devs don't really feel pressured by other competition, so to speak, and so they've just been kind of very too laid back, or they don't see why some of this stuff needs to be in the best state as it is. Because if you just take Predators as its own vacuum and throw it out in today's market, there's so many shortcomings in this game that are really taken for granted. So, but yeah, as a long video, I apologize that there was a lot longer video. It's kind of how whenever I make tier list videos, I'm okay, I'm gonna try and make this a 30-minute tier list video. Oh, it's an hour. Oh, my bad, guys. But so I apologize if I made this a lot longer than it has to be. But again, I just want to be honest. I want to speak from the heart about some of my honest thoughts on the game, kind of what's going to happen with my channel going forward. Because I'm hoping, I really do hope that when I come back from training back in next year, that the game has fixed a lot of its core issues. It has a better onboarding experience, and the whole community and player base has grown while I was away. That's what I really want to see happen. But for this last year, it just this last year and kind of looking at things right now, it's just it makes me very concerned about the future of predecessor, and I really hope that something changes, and the change is good, not like investors like cracking down investors for not making enough money and have to do more aggressive, more like egregious kind of stuff just to keep investors happy. Because when the game is not doing well and investors put a lot of money, well, investors will get to have more say and be like, hey, what you're doing is not doing well, here's what we should do, and you guys are going to say yes to it, and that's the only option. Like, I want to see this game do better, because if the game does better, then I think administrators would have to have more say to do stuff, because I do feel like some of the stuff is not all done by the word of the devs. I feel like some of it has to do with some investor influence, having like a huge share in like the company stock. But that's enough. I'm gonna end this video right here. But really appreciate you guys sticking around. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. And yeah, just be sure to like, subscribe, especially subscribe, so if I do make a video coming back from A school, you guys will get that notification. But yeah, again, thank you guys so much for all the amazing support. Comment down below about if you agree, disagree, and let's just have some good conversation going. And yeah, that's my last video for this year, and I hope you guys have a great holiday, and I'll see you guys sometime next year. Peace.